What is this? Chitto, it is just getting melted, getting softened. What does this actually mean? It's all literary things, but it is not actually theoretical explanation of it. It's not. But when actually the result is this, then what happened when philosophy of art was actually developed? Because of that particularly, there are three traditional philosophies which had some presence in the theory of art. One is Kashmir Sufism, the other is Advaita Vedanta, and the third is Gauriya Vaishnavism. But if you look at this, then Gauriya Vaishnavism has mystified art maximally. According to this Gauriya Vaishnavism, art is completely aprapita. And all the arts of all the rasas, all the bhavas of Bharata, they are to be included only under one rasa, and that is bhakti. And mind you, this bhakti is not the highest rasa in the Gauriya Vaishnavism. Highest rasa is Ujjala rasa. Ujjala rasa and bhakti rasa are not the same thing. But actually, this Ujjala rasa has been neglected, and bhakti rasa has been included by such books as Radha Govindanath and all that sort of thing. Curiously enough, in the south, one of the greatest scholars, A. Hiriana, whose name was also mentioned, he himself was a great scholar of Kashmir Sufism and Kashmir aesthetics, of the entire tradition. He has never mentioned any of them. He has mentioned only Advaita Vedanta and little bit of Shankara. No reference to Kashmir Sufism at all. This is other tradition. The third tradition was, I told you, Kashmir Vaishnavism. In all these traditions, something is missing. So why not try the other? The first two was, Hiriana tried to make it that the best possible theoretical foundation of art is possible only in Advaita Vedanta. That is Hiriana's stand. And Ramamurti Tripadi's very clear statement, only philosophy that can give foundation to art is Kashmir Sufism. Okay. Completely separate. And the other is correct. Two are monistic, one is strongly dualistic system. But this is all that we have till now. But all of them, a philosophy student, as a philosophy, find it that they are using all new vocabularies. But what for? For example, we have a very good concept, both in common sense and in philosophy, karan, cause. In the aesthetics, they found it, no, they have to use a new concept. And that is vibhava. Why not auxiliary cause? Why anubhava? Why not sanskara? Why bhava? Then there are other also difficulties. For example, rasanubhava. Does it make any sense? Ordinarily, ghatanubhava or rasanubhava are the same thing. Ras itself is anubhava. Then what is rasanubhava? So these things require clarifications. And lot of clarifications can come properly if we develop philosophy of art. That has not been developed. Curiously enough, where there is little bit of philosophy, that has been neglected. When so much of Vedanta has been done in the field of art, even Hiriana, they have not accessed and properly utilized Madhusudana Saraswati's work on art. Whereas Madhusudana Saraswati's work on art has been noted to be one person who has approached art from a truly philosophical point of view. Madhusudana Saraswati's work on art, the Bhakti Rasayana, only one edition is available, and in India and Bengal, that was edited by Durga Charan Shankar Vedanta Tirtha with his own commentary. And he has noted that unlike any other people, Madhusudana Saraswati has actually approached the subject from a philosophical point of view. But even Liliana does not take any note of it. And we do not. Similarly, other work by another great Vedanti, Appavidikki, that is completely unknown, even not mentioned at all. So under these circumstances, I would like to say that a philosophy of art should be developed with certain distinctive characteristics. And these distinctive characteristics which I have in mind are these. In my implementation of it, I have given the paper, see it could not be completed. The first thing to choose is the perspective. And I follow the perspective, not the tried perspective of Kashmir dualism, Buddhism, or Advaita Vedantism, or even Gaudiya Vaishnavism. I apply the perspective of Nyaya dualism. That's one. When doing it, I have to find a starting point, where to start from. My idea is this: there are two options, particularly. I can take the starting point, the creative artist. I can approach art from the point of view of creative artist. Is one option. The second option is to approach it from the point of view of the art witness, Prekshaka, Ashayata. None of these two approaches appeal to me. I say the more fundamental approach is the art experience. Aesthetic experience, that is the more fundamental, and neither the artist nor the person who has the art experience. The artist is not, because for the enjoyment of art, a piece of art, who had been the artist is not that important. Once it is known to us, then of course it is very important. But even without knowing, an art can be rather appreciated for its own merit without doing much of it. And if you bring in the notion of artist and art, then if we remember, if you look at Rabindranath's entire career, he could not solve this problem. Whether art is greater than the artist or artist is greater than the art. Sometimes you are saying the art is greater than the artist. In some other pieces he says artist is greater than art. He could not know. And I think that they are all to be defined in terms of the experience of art. That is more important thing. And from the point of view of, once I choose this point, then I have to find out the source of art motivation. Where from does it come? Now there are two senses are there, very famous. One is art's source of art is in certain human perceptions and belief. And this human perception of belief is this, that art is man's gallant protest against the crudities of nature. This is one theory. Art is man's gallant protest against the crudities of nature. Art. And this has been proved in another way. You did not, I know, I remember. You remember your business, I know it. When to start. Except, I never exceed my point. I don't want to be disturbed because I know it. The point is this. I get disturbed. Sorry. Yes. The one theory is this, that nature is essentially imperfect, nature is ugly, and that is why artist comes as a second Prajapati. Ashare kuli samsare kubi reka Prajapati. So he picks it. These are put in another way also. Our love could thou and I with fate conspire, grasp the sorry scheme of things and dare. Would we not shatter it to bits and then remold it to our heart's desire? This is one perception. Here the art has its source in the perception of nature, the world, which is imperfect. And art is artist's response to this imperfection of nature, which he could not, it's sort of wish fulfillment, which he wanted but was not there in reality, he creates that in his imagination. But realistic approaches to find it in a different way, in the very constitution of man. For if we seek art, source of art, in that particular perception of few persons which have sufficient aesthetic sensitivity, but this time it's different. Every man has the same constitution, I mean psychic constitution, and this constitution is divided in the psychological way. The man, there is a famous tripartite division of man. He has three faculties: cognitive faculty, cognitive faculty, and affective faculty. In our theory, we say Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, এবং Jnana Shakti. Now, if we have to find art a place, then it must be in human constitution, and we must find it in corresponding to these three faculties. But if we do that, then the problem becomes with these faculties are associated the objects of the art world. Cognitive faculty is known as Bostu Tantra. Here, what corresponds as an object are the reality. If you take the cognitive, then it is Purusha Tantra, and it is actually the field of action. Art falls in between, but at the same time, it cannot be Jadichha Tantra. It is called Ichha Tantra. It is the only field where Ichha controls cognition, Gyan. Gyan is under control of Ichha, and when Ichha controls Gyan, it produces peculiar sort of Gyan. It is called Aharja Gyan. Aharja Gyan is that knowledge where we knowingly, by dint of our own desire, believe something which we know unreal. This is called willful suspension of disbelief. Aharja Gyan has a philosophical use and it has a great use in art, and each one of these concepts of bhava, anubhava, vibhava, all these are to be given philosophical account. They have been left in the realm of figurative and alangar, but it has not been given philosophical, but that has not been possible. It is exactly 30 minutes. I'll stop here.
It is now open for discussion. So I thank Professor Mukhopadhyay for his presentation, and now it's open for discussion, and I invite comments from the floor, but please leave 1 or 2 minutes for me also.
I am not using you are to coordinate.
No, anyway. I don't want to.
You when you begin with all, then what's the harm?
No. So any comments from learned participants?
One thing I was reminded of is Sri Aurobindo's work on foundations of Indian culture. He has spent a large part of it is on Indian art. And it's one of the few topics on which a separate book can be made out of his essays. And I suppose some amount of this philosophy has been formulated. Just I was reminded.
Thank you. One, I will not expound on it, but I had to make a distinction that I could not do. Why is it that we fail to really notice that here such developed aesthetics and so poor philosophy of art? Why? Because we have failed to distinguish aesthetics from philosophy of art. Why is it, and what that has led to? We use the word philosophy in a very loose sense. So we go on saying the philosophy of Aurobindo, philosophy of Bankim Chandra, philosophy of this man, that man, this one. There's a loose sense of philosophy there. And also there is a very strict and hard sense of philosophy also there. But the more important thing is this, In the loose sense, behind this, there is a one conception of philosophy. Philosophy is essentially edifying literature. And in this sense, most of the good art are philosophies, only in this sense. But edifying literature can be edification, can render edification, but it cannot give analytical clarity. On the other hand, the analytical philosophy of India, that is both analytical and edifying at a higher level. That's why we do not know of any philosophy which is not edifying in India. That is why when we do this, I remember one expression of Anandavardhan. He was giving an account of Shukovi. Who is Shukovi? And in his account of Shukovi, what he has said actually, Shukovi writes only inspirationally. If I have the text, he says, the Swayam Bhagavati Saraswati, the right stream, is inspirational. And what philosopher has to say on this? Philosopher says, Anaradha Gaurim, Anashadha Gaurim, Vinatantra Mantri, Vinashabda Jojjat, Pakishta Prasiddha Prabandha Pravakta, Virinchi Prapanchi, Madanna Kuri. The idea is this, as a sarcastically says, some poets, they write under the influence of liquor, say for example. Some with the grace of God, some using, stealing from some other's writings and so on. We are the best writers of literature because we do not take any of this. The word pratima has therefore two senses. One sense in which a philosophical text is also composed with the help of pratima. It is called talent. But other pratima is essential inspiration. So most of the aesthetics in our country, they have failed to distinguish between inspirational literature and philosophy and analytical philosophy. What I am plea for is we have not developed sufficient